Slime is some cool stuff with a weird texture, and today we're going to see what happens if we try and take all of the water out of it. And then we'll see what happens if we try and put the water back in. Slime has been entertaining children for years and years under several different names, and it's a really cool, weird substance, and it's something that you can also make at home, which is pretty fun. But we're curious what would happen if you took all of the liquid out of this slime. What would be left? What would the texture be like then? Here's the basic idea. We've got some store-bought slime and we'll make some homemade slime. We're going to try and dehydrate both and then see if they can be turned into a powder and rehydrated. One cup of water, 1/2 teaspoon of borax, half cup of water, and 5 ounces of clear glue. Add a few drops of color. Now I am going to mix everything inside our pitcher because it's going to hold everything really nicely. That's a great color of slime. So now we have these 2 metal trays, and this is where we're gonna have our slime sit in as it dehydrates. So try and get the purple one out. Slime. That's truly delightful. Look at that. I wonder if it's gonna stick a lot to the tray. It is largely made of glue, after all. It's kind of cool. This stuff seems really thick and gelatinous and all that. But if you leave slime out, if you make homemade slime and then you just leave it for 2 days, all of those bubbles will actually just rise right up out of it. It takes a long time, but you end up with just perfectly clear slime. Until you play with it again, then you get a lot more bubbles in it all of a sudden. Now the green. Splat. So we certainly have different textures in our 2 slimes here. This green stuff really likes to gather up a lot more. The purple did an okay job of spreading out. I don't necessarily need it to be all stretched out, but I suspect it will dehydrate better if it is. More surface area, more liquid can escape more easily. Those are fantastic colors. Now these are gonna take a while. I'm probably gonna end up dehydrating them for several days. And during that time, I'll probably also take them out, maybe flip them over if one side seems to be completely dry and the other one doesn't. I'll probably switch them back and forth a little bit, but I'll just try and do whatever it takes to make sure they get a lot of even heat and air to really dry out completely. It's been a few days and both of our types of slime have completely dehydrated inside our dehydrator. They took rather different amounts of time. Our green store-bought slime completely dried out till it was just plasticky and brittle in, I think it was less than 24 hours. Our homemade slime, our purple stuff, this took about twice as long and I had to flip it over. This piece actually just kind of came unstuck from the metal, but it was still softer on one side, so I'd flip it over and let it dry out more. But at this point, I think both of them are completely dry. You can see that's very brittle. Over here, we've just got flakes of it. And now we're gonna see if we can turn these into a powder. And if we can turn them into powder, can we add water back into them and turn them back into liquid slime? So let's take our 2 different dried out slimes, which have remarkably different textures, and see what we can do to powderize them. I have a couple of different blenders here. I've got a little magic bullet, and then I've got a big old Blendtec, because this stuff is really tough, but the green stuff is very thin and brittle. And so I'm pretty sure I can just crush this down and put it in our little magic bullet sized blender, and that'll just turn it into dust. So let's start off with that one. Let's see how well it works. Let's see if I'm right about how easily it comes apart. And hopefully it comes off of the metal nice and easily as well. Definitely does stick to our foil tray a fair amount in some places. It's kind of hard to get off of the metal. So if I were to try this again, I'd probably try and find like a Teflon coated pan or something. See if it slides off of that more easily. All right, we've still got a little bit stuck to our tray, but I think we've done a fairly good job of getting most of it off. I'd say we've got at least 75%. All right, our blender, I think, has done a pretty good job of chopping that up, but I want to go even finer if I can. I'm going to throw this in our mortar and pestle neon green powder, being ground up old-fashioned style. It's a pretty good powder right there. All right. Got our green ground up. Let's move on to our purple. I think our blender could probably handle these at full size, but I'm just gonna start by chopping it all down a little bit smaller. It doesn't even land. It's just like hovering above it. Probably fine. The lid has some vent holes and we definitely had some powder escaping through that. Okay, that definitely took it down quite a bit, but there's still some fairly large chunks in there. This is like the consistency of about, maybe not flour, but close. This is like the consistency of raw sugar, so I'm gonna clean this out and try blending it even finer in this blender. See if this is tough enough to break that up anymore. Might have done a little. Definitely don't think it's as fine of a powder. We'll try putting it in the mortar and pestle and seeing if that makes it any smaller. I think this mixture is just sort of like a flexible enough compound that it doesn't crush very well. Whereas the other stuff dried into such a rigid plastic, it was able to turn into dust. This is more like sand. All right, let's start out with our purple stuff. We're gonna try just taking a spoonful of our purple sand here, and we're gonna add little bits of water and stir it and see if it sort of dissolves back in. It also may take a little while for these larger pieces to really absorb all of the water they've lost, or maybe it'll never work. I haven't tried this before, but let's find out. We're definitely making a pulp. Certainly wouldn't call it slime. I also don't think this is enough water. I'm not sure what it's gonna do, but given the ratio of what this was before it started and what it is now, I think that this is gonna be too little water for it to properly absorb everything. It's forming into sort of like a gelatinous sand texture instead of a regular sand texture. I kinda wanna just let that one sit, and then I'll get another cup for the green powder. Powder, static electricity makes it stick to the walls in some spots. Let's add a little bit more water, see how that goes. Similar result. We're getting sort of a gelatinous sand, but I wouldn't say that it's turned back into slime. Well, it seems to have used up quite a bit of its water though, so let's give it some more. We're definitely getting some result. It does seem to be absorbing the water, at least somewhat, but It took a long time to dehydrate, so I wonder if it will take a long time to rehydrate. So what we're gonna do is fill both of these cups with a fair amount of water and then just let them sit overnight and see what they turn into. Will they turn back into the same kind of slime they were before, or have we changed something fundamentally by dehydrating them? Our slime powders have now been sitting in water for several days, really trying to let them soak up just as much as they possibly could. Let's take a look at how they've turned out. Our purple one is the homemade stuff, and you can pretty clearly see that there appears to be just a layer of water on top of whatever is formed down there. What has formed down there? Okay, this is a little bit like slime. It's definitely got more texture, but it is behaving pretty similarly to slime. Stretch it out, squish it down. It's slimy, it's oozy. It's not quite the same as it was before, but I'd call that still some slime. Purple, slightly grainy slime. All right, let's take a look at our green slime. This doesn't have the same clear water on the top. I think it is a little bit thicker farther down in the cup. But I don't know, that's looking pretty slimy to me. Once again, I think there's just a little bit of a texture to it that wasn't there before. It's not even. There's some thicker parts to our slime, and then there's some runny parts that you can't really get a hold of.
I feel like when it comes from the store, I feel like it's really smooth, almost like it's green pudding. This looks a little bit granular. It looks like if you took purple food coloring and poured it into a diaper and then took all the junk out. It's about the same consistency.
Dehydrating works very well. Rehydrating, it takes a fair amount of time and it doesn't give you quite the same consistency, but we were able to make powderized slime and turn it back into real slime. Guys, that's all we've got for today, but the fun doesn't end here. That box up at the top will take you directly to our last video. You should go check that out. The other box will show you what YouTube thinks you should be watching next. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, just hit this bomb to join the club, and that way you will never miss out on the fun. Don't forget to ring that bell, and we will see you in the next one. Talk to you then.